Good evening. My name is Heather Collier, and I'm with the Collier Law Firm, LLC, here in Foley, Alabama. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a series of videos for you, since I know that a lot of people have questions, and I get a lot of questions weekly from people that have various topics that they want to discuss and don't necessarily know where to start when it comes to hiring a lawyer and that type of thing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a weekly series and just answer some of those questions. The first thing that I want to talk about in the topic of today's video, this first video that I'm going to do, is about adoption. And many people don't realize what the adoption process is in Alabama. And in Alabama, you can have an uncontested adoption where the biological parents agree that another family member or that a step parent will adopt the child or children involved. And if that occurs, then there are several documents that need to be filed with the court that the biological parents must agree to. Okay, and the first is a petition for adoption. This is very important, and it must have specific language in it pursuant to the adoption statutes in Alabama. Otherwise, it will be kicked back. You also need consent and waiver forms, and you need consent and waiver forms from the children if they are over the age of 14, and you also need consent and waiver forms from each of the biological parents, as well as additional documentation. And there's a couple other minor forms that you need. Waiver of notice forms is one of them, and then you need documentation such as birth certificates, marriage certificates, and divorce certificates for anybody that's involved, and other biographical information. And you need to make sure that there is an adoption certificate filed with the court, so that once the adoption is recorded, that vital record can be sent up to Montgomery for recording as well. And that's basically the process with an adoption that everybody agrees to. Now, there are cases where an adoption is not agreed to, and this causes a whole lot of issues. I currently have some cases going where, we can find the biological parents, and the biological parents do not want to cooperate with us, but they also don't want to pay child support and care for their children. And normally, if there is a court order in effect that gives both parents either equal custody or joint custody and doesn't give one parent sole custody, then what you must do is you've got to go back to the trial court and basically file petitions to terminate parental rights on the biological parent or parents that are not cooperating. And then once that's done, then you can go to the probate court and do the adoption process. Once you have an order saying that sole custody has either been given to one parent or one party, one interested party, whether it be a grandparent or whomever the case may be, for the purposes of this adoption matter. But one issue that's huge is getting proper service on the biological parents, especially when the biological parents do not want to be found and have made it clear that they do not want to be found. That causes nothing but issues. And so you have to prove by Alabama law that you've tried to serve them at an address, at a particular address that you believe to be a good address. And you have to do it at least twice via certified mail. Okay, and then if that doesn't work, then you need to report back to the court and get a and file, if you haven't already filed, a motion for publication, and along with that process, attach a copy of the ad that you wish to run in the newspaper. And now the good thing about that is, at least in Baldwin County locally, they run it in a local newspaper regardless of if the parent is out of state and that type of thing, especially if the parent is not cooperating. So that's a good thing, but there's fees that are incurred with that, and some of those extra fees that are incurred when an adoption is not agreed upon by the parties are the publication fees to try and serve the parties if they're not going to agree to service, or you cannot prove that they have been served by certified mail or otherwise. And another fee that is incurred is a guardian ad litem fee. A guardian ad litem must be appointed for the benefit of the children, and what they are is they are an attorney that seeks for the best interest of the children in the matter. And their fee is not cheap. It's $300 per child. So, a lot of times if you've got a deadbeat parent or a parent that just hasn't been around, they may agree to go ahead and go through with an adoption, especially because it means that at that point, their rights to any child would be terminated, and they wouldn't have the obligation to pay for them. This is especially good if they had not been paying for the child to begin with. So it's very, very important that, you sit down with an attorney and you talk about all of the options that are available, and decide which option would be best to go to. You also want to think about concerns with cost and everything like that, because it can get pretty costly. But, I am all for adoptions. If the parent or parents do not want to properly provide the child with the basic necessities, food, shelter, a stable home life that every child deserves, and they don't make an effort to see the child or take care of them or pay child support for the child, then I am fully in favor of adoptions, and I am big on step-parent adoptions as well. I myself, my parents divorced when I was 6 years old, but I've had the opportunity to be blessed with two very good dads. My biological dad was awesome. He was great. And then I have a very good stepdad whom I'm very close with as well. And now that my biological dad has passed away, my relationship with my stepdad has gotten even stronger, because he's, the only father that I have left now. So I'm a big proponent of adoptions, and I'm a big proponent of helping my clients and doing everything that I can to assist them in the adoption process. So if you have any further questions, feel free to give me a call. Again, my name is Heather Collier, and I'm with the Collier Law Firm. My phone number is 251-943-4870. And as required by the Alabama State Bar, no representation is made that the quality of legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of legal services to be performed by other lawyers. Thank you for your time.